The Maya civilization is a general name archaeologists have given to the several independent, loosely affiliated cities who shared a cultural heritage in terms of language, customs, dress, artistic style, and material culture. Archaeologists prefer to use the term Maya civilization rather than the more common Mayan civilization, leaving Mayan to refer to the language. The Maya civilization occupied the Central American continent, including the southern parts of Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras, an area of about 150,000 square miles. Maya culture began to develop in the pre-classic period around 1000 BC and was its heyday between 300 and 900 AD. The Maya are well known for their writing, of which a great part can now be read, as well as for their advanced mathematics, astronomy, and calendar calculations.
Considered to be divine and traced their genealogists back to prove their descendants from the gods. Mayan religious ceremonies included the ball game, human sacrifice, and bloodletting ceremonies in which nobles pierced their tongues or genitals to shed blood as an offering to the gods. All Maya ritual acts were dictated by the 260-day sacred round calendar, and all performances had symbolic meaning. Self-mutilation was encouraged in order to furnish blood to anoint religious articles. The elite were obsessed with blood of their own and that of their captives, and ritual bloodletting was a major part of an important calendar event. Bloodletting was also carried out to nourish the gods, and when Maya civilization began to fall, rulers with large territories are recorded as having rushed from one city to the other, performing bloodletting rites in order to maintain their disintegrating kingdoms.
Hubert Howell Bancroft, a well-known 1800 American historian and entheologist, noted in his book that an event which in Mexico would be the death signal to a hecatomb of human victims would in Yucatan be celebrated by the death of a spotted dog. But mounting archaeological evidence has for many decades now supported the chronicler's contention that human sacrifice was far from unknown in Maya society. There is no consensus on why these sacrifices took place, their true scale at different times, or even who the victims were, but the city of Chichen Itza, the main focus of Maya regional power from the late classical period, appears to have also been a major focus of human sacrifice. There are two natural sinkholes, or cenotes, at the site of the city which have provided a plentiful supply of potable water. The largest of these cenotes sagrada, as well as the well of sacrifice, was where many victims were cast as an offering to the rain god CHAC. A 2000 study of remains taken from the cenote found that they had wounds consistent with human sacrifice. The slaves were usually purchased and after a variety of rituals were anointed with blue dye and either shot with arrows through the heart or held on an altar while priests swiftly removed the heart using a ceremonial knife. In either case, the heart was presented to the temple idol, which was also anointed with blood. According to Bancroft, one tribe sacrificed illegitimate boys twice a year, again by removing the heart, but collecting the blood in a bowl and scattering it to the 4 cardinal compass points within the temple. Capturing prisoners after a successful battle also provided victims for sacrifice, presumably to appropriate whatever deity had promised victory in the first place. Although there is no record of the Maya initiating conflicts solely for this purpose, as was apparently the case with the Aztecs, modern analysis of Maya art indicates a large number of representations of captured prisoners of war that are now understood to be sacrificial victims. The analysis of the representations and sometimes of their contexts show that the crossed arms on the chest gesture is associated with the concepts of submissiveness, captivity, and death. In one word, a sacrifice.
Utia lusat malota pluma. Mendone tanet kasu. Sisik pluma. Toujours qui bat du nord.
In 2005, a mass grave of 1 to 2-year-old sacrificed children was found in the Maya region of Camal-Calco. The sacrifices were apparently performed for consecration purposes when building temples at the Camal-Calco Acropolis. There are also skulls suggestive of child sacrifice dating the Maya periods. Mayanists believe that, like the Aztecs, the Maya performed child sacrifice in specific circumstances. In the classic period, some Maya art that depict the extraction of children's hearts during the ascension to the throne of the new kings or at the beginnings of the Maya calendar have been studied. In one of these cases, Stele 11 in Piedras Negras, Guatemala, a sacrifice boy can be seen. Other scenes of sacrifice boys are visible on painted jars.
One of the ways that the Mayan peoples competed against each other was playing what they've been called the ball game. They used a rubber ball about 20 inches in diameter to play the game, which was played on a stone court, whose measurements varied. The largest one found so far measures 459 feet by 114 feet. The court had walls that sloped inward, and hanging high on the walls were stone rings. The goal of the game was to pass the ball around without having it touch your hands and then get the ball to pass through one of the rings. Since the rings were so high and players were not allowed to use their hands, it was extremely difficult to get the ball through a ring. In fact, when a player did manage to get a ball through a ring, that usually ended the game. The game ended otherwise when the ball touched the ground. The Mayan ball game was a solemn experience filled with ritual importance. Religious leaders attended, as did most chieftains and other government leaders. Sacred songs were sung and played. Other religious activities took place as well. The Maya ball game had a lot of ritual significance. It was meant to mirror the ball court of the heavens, this being the ball court of the underworld where the sun passed each night. The game represented the battle between day and night, and sometimes also related to the human blood sacrifices that were intended to keep the sun moving in the sky. It is said that the ball represented the head of a sacrifice victim. The ball court was at the foot of the bloodstained stairs of the temple, and the ball game itself would often be a scene of sacrifice. It is believed that the losing coach or even the whole team might be sacrificed. Some historians have disputed this because it was an honor to be sacrificed. It may have been the winning team that lost their lives.
The so-called CHAC-MOOL altar depicts a human figure in an awkward position of reclining with the head up and turned to one side, holding a tray over the stomach. It is believed that the tray part of the sculpture was used for offerings of incense and of human hearts from human sacrifices. CHAC-MOOL altars are typically found in front of temples. The ancient name for these sculptures is unknown. The name was coined by Augustus Le Plongeon, an eccentric 19th century antiquarian who excavated some Maya sites in Yucatan and published multiple volumes of history of the Maya, which later scholars considered to be based on nothing other than Le Plongeon's own vivid imagination. Le Plongeon uncovered such a statue in Chichen Itza and concocted an elaborate story around it, saying that it depicted an ancient king of Atlantis named CHAC-MOOL, which means red jaguar in the Maya language. Although Le Plongeon's stories are discredited, the name he coined for this type of figure has stuck.
Knife was used for sacrifices but set apart from other weapons used by the Mayans. Sacrificial knives were made by the priests and always by hand. The Mayans did not use steel or any type of metal. They made their knives out of anything hard and sharp enough. Some knives were made of flint, jade, gold bones, and obsidian. Obsidian is a volcanic glass created after the lava cools from a volcano. It is often very dark in color and is a naturally formed version of glass. The executioner would use a knife with his great skill, make an incision between the ribs on the left side below the nipple, then he'd plunge in his hand and make a ravenous tiger tear out of the living heart. To say that the Maya civilization disappeared is not only an inaccuracy but a great disservice to more than 6 million Maya living today in Guatemala, Mexico, and Belize. The Maya did not cease to exist when the ancient cities went into decline. They live today in the same areas their ancestors inhabited. Although their culture has changed over time, many Mayas maintain their language and traditions. Throughout hundreds of years of outside efforts to oppress and assimilate, the Maya community have continued to hold on to their unique way of life. Modern Maya religion is a colorful hybrid of Catholicism and ancient Maya beliefs and rituals. Their ancient gods have been replaced with statues of saints. The children of the Maya community live a normal life and are not affected by the sacrifices that took place back then. The childhood is just like every other child experiences. They go to school and are surrounded by friends and family.